We are rolling.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Conversation. This is Midlife Crisis Activities. This is our lifestyles and pop culture webcast, our daily shout out to the world. I'm your host, Patrick Russell, and over there is my very vivacious producer, Veronica. Together, we're here to lend our voices to the noise from a multi-generational perspective to help explain everything that's right and wrong in this world. Happy Thunder Thursday to you, Veronica.
Happy Thursday.
Probably a little less happy after we discuss this story, a tragic story out of the state of Ohio. Associated Press is reporting how a father of a 16-year-old daughter mistook his daughter for an intruder and shot her in the home, specifically apparently in the garage. For reasons unknown, lots of details not known as of yet. The daughter broke into the garage, tripped the alarm, alerted the entire household that somebody was trying to get into the house, and the father grabbed his gun that he had apparently locked and loaded for just such an occasion. And this is prior to the 911 call. Went down to investigate, confront the intruder, if you will, and ended up shooting his daughter in mistake. The 911 call was then placed. We hear in the background the father and the mother asking each other what was she doing in the garage, and obviously pleading for ambulance and the police to arrive as soon as they could because they could see how desperate their daughter was clinging on to life and ultimately didn't make it. So this is a funny kind of a thing that happened to me, Veronica. As I was researching this case and doing a simple Google search as to how many gun-related deaths there are in the United States, typically 39,000, and of those accidental gun shot that end up in fatalities, that ends up being about 1% of that, which ends up being about 500 people a year end up shooting themselves by accident, right, in the home. And then another thing to say is that 77% of most of the 39,000 gun-related deaths in the United States do occur in the home. But now, when I saw those numbers, Veronica, it really opened up my eyes to the gravity of the problem. Not to say that this isn't a tragic story, but we live in a country where there's, on the last census, close to 400 million people.
Well, that's a lot, though.
That's what I'm saying. So 400 million, well, let's see how you mean it. 400 million, and we're talking about a statistical variance of 39,000 people. And then of that, you're talking about only 500 in the entire United States that ends up with a tragic ending to the story like this one. And now with those numbers and the broad context laid out for you, from a younger generation's perspective, how do you feel about gun ownership primarily for home protection? Do you believe it's a good idea when you see that the statistics for the fatalities are a little bit lower than I think anybody realizes? Your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely I don't know, I will feel safer if I had one at home. But also seeing this cases, it makes me realize that I can maybe do the same mistake, you know, maybe not knowing who the person is and then shooting at the person and realizing that it's a family member. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard because you can also, I mean, it's like two stories, right? Like you can save your life potentially if it was someone else, but then also you can harm someone within your family. And when I was probably about the age 16, 17, I remember going through the window of my house because I forgot the keys. So
I'm sure that happened a few times.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that it's hard to predict how we feel like once we're in the house, and then obviously you noticing that someone is trying to come into the house, right? So, I mean, that can happen to anybody. And at this point, I don't know if I feel better if I had one or not. For
me, from the older generation, I think that this has been really a highlight that supports the gun rights ownership perspective. I think that the numbers are so small, comparatively speaking, to the size of our nation and to the many problems that we face with crime, that if you're telling me that on average less than 1% of all gun fatalities a year end up in the circumstances of a home invasion that went wrong, where, you know, the gun was either used against the homeowner or in this case where a family member ultimately tragically gets hurt, that's just too small of a number for me to really believe that gun ownership primarily for home protection is a bad idea. Now, me, myself, and I prefer a dog. I love the idea, the safety of the dog, but then the idea that a dog properly trained does provide a really good sense of protection, not only for the occupants of the home, but then just as an early alarm system when there's intruders, as we know from personal experience. If a dog doesn't know you, the family dog is going to alert the family that there's something wrong going on and that there's an intruder, that a 911 call and the professionals, the police officers, hopefully if you're in an area that you can... you're in an area that you have confidence that you're going to see of a timely response time, then that would be the much better way, I believe, to protect our home, to protect your home in today's modern society. You had a last thought.
Just my last point is that I think we have to realize that if you have teenagers, they have to be aware of like what's happening, right? Because sometimes we don't even think about those
training.
Things.
I mean, you're going to have the gun. You're going to have to do the training. There's no doubt. Yeah,
but also knowing, I mean, if I have teenagers, I have to talk to them and be like, hey, we have a gun if we notice anything, because you don't talk about those things until it happens, right? So I will never thought about that particular situation per se.
My final note is this, is that I have absolutely no problems with gun ownership primarily for home protection. If the homeowners properly train all the home family members how to use the gun, the awareness of the guns, like I think you were mentioning right there, but then also having your gun locked and loaded, which is obviously what you would like to do, have it at the ready. It makes no sense when you have young family members in the house. You need to have the gun secured in a safe. You need to have the ammo separately secured. To the point that, and Jeff Jeffries, a great comedian, had brought this up, by the time you actually get into the safe, grab the gun, grab the box that has the ammo, unlock the box, the ammo, load the gun with the ammo, and be ready, the emergency had probably passed you by, right, guys? There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer, but there definitely is your opinion. Please don't just subscribe to the channel, even though we will be doing this back and forth, debating gun rights, gun ownerships versus accidental home shooting deaths. But lend your voice to the show. It'll make it a whole lot more fun. Guys, it doesn't matter what comes your way today. It doesn't matter what obstacles or challenges that you may face. You just need to remember one thing.
Give 'em hell.
Happy Thunder Thursday, everybody.